Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the BOCC meeting. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Zoom. Okay, again, good morning. Everybody, I'm sure, is enjoying the blessings that we have out there right now, and it's wonderful. So we're going to get going. First thing we have on our agenda are minutes. Gentlemen, do we have any additions or corrections?
I do not.
No, I do not. I move to approve the proceedings of Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County for January 17th, 2023, as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, January 17th, 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Looks rough.
You don't want me to hold them up so you can...
Okay, planning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, being that it is 9 o'clock, we have a public hearing. Would you call the roll, please? All right, Melinda.
Sure. Commissioner Lindsay?
Here.
Commissioner Candelaria?
Here.
Commissioner Copenhaver?
Here.
Attorney Larry?
Here.
And Administrator Anderson?
Here.
And
go ahead.
Melinda Fuller?
And
Here.
go ahead and read the public
notice.
notice. Yep.
Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed Third Amendment to High Impact Permit Number 101 and Special Use Permit Number 114-2022, submitted by Basin Co-op, Inc., Agent Don Dukart, on property located at 11654 Highway 491, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 9.87 acres more or less, situated in Section 15, Township 36, Range 16 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Tuesday, January 24th, 2023 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main Street, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online service at https://co.co.smartgovcommunity.com/public/home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 21st day of December, 2022. Kim Purcell, Board of Montezuma County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, January 11th, 2023.
All right. Thank you, Melinda. Okay, Mr. Haley.
Here, representing Basin Co-op. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So in 2018, they got their original high impact permit permitted for the 2 propane storage tanks and the warehouse facility shown there on the right. Also included was a future 8,000 square foot warehouse, but that wasn't built within the timing of their vested rights. And so now they're proposing a 12,000 square foot warehouse. Won't change traffic. Their existing CDOT permit is acceptable to the new structure without any changes, modifications, or amendments. They're just adding warehouse space on their property. There is a variance for the setback distance to the south neighbor. And planning and zoning was unanimous to recommend it for approval.
Okay. Would you like to add anything?
No, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Okay, commissioners.
I have nothing. I've seen this property and
I don't have anything. This is the same warehouse we were looking at earlier with
Yeah,
the
we
variance, right?
Correct.
Did the variance, right. Okay, well, then at this time, I will open it up for public comment. Anybody wishing to speak for or against this application, please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you may address the board at this time. Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll close the public comment session, and I will bring it back to the commissioners. Do you have any other questions or anything for the applicant at all?
I do not.
Okay.
Gerald, do you have anything? I would so move that we approve the proposed third amendment to high impact permit number 101 and special use permit 14-2022 submitted by Basin Co-op agent Don Dukart on property located at 11654 Highway 491, Cortez.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the proposed third amendment to the high impact permit number 101 and special use permit number 14-2022 submitted by Basin Co-op Inc. agent Don Dukart on property located at 11654 Highway 491, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 9.87 acres more or less. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I will close this public hearing.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.
All
Then
right.
we have the boundary line, well, it's actually an exemption amendment for Maness.
For Ernie.
We have the Mylar for signature as well as the amendment exemption document.
Okay, roll them out. See you guys. Have a great day.
So we need to find out if you got hired.
Okay. I better bring that back up. It looks like we're gonna.
That's all we got,
Okay,
unless you have questions. Short and sweet today.
Thank you.
no questions.
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay, next thing on our agenda is the public comment session. Board of County Commissioners welcomes you to this meeting. Persons speaking during the public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced to allow all the members of the public the opportunity to address the board. When addressing the board, please state your name and address for the record prior to providing your comments. Comments to individual supervisors or staff are not permitted, and participants may not yield their time to others. With that, our public comment session is open. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public comment session, and we're going to go right straight to social services. And I see not Gina today. Is this one, do you have the original copy that we need to sign?
Yes, I think I do.
Okay. If not, we can sign this one and we'll just give it to you.
Veteran serve, I have everything else.
Probably that one.
That's it, right there.
This is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, want to take care of this first off the bat, commissioners, and get this done?
I'm not sure I got the nerve.
Wow, I know. Pretty big number. I know what you're looking at.
I would so move that we approve the regular session on Tuesday, December 27th, the minutes thereof, of the Montezuma County Social Services, or Department of Social Services. And also the financials in the amount of, hang on to yourself, $2,966,594.73.
Second, but I have some questions.
Okay,
Why is the EBT go up that much?
Because of COVID and the fact that every family that was on food stamps got the maximum allotment for every month, for the whole time COVID is going on.
You might need to turn your mic on real quick.
It was not what they were eligible for, it was the max. Oh, sorry.
and pull it closer, please.
So, yeah, but I mean,
Then you'll hear my old lady voice better, and if I stay away, then I just don't sound quite old.
because this thing has been running like 1.2 or 3, and now it's 2.5.
Well, when you take every person that's on food stamps and they get the maximum allotment for that, I mean, they didn't take into consideration the money that they made, that if they worked, it was just the maximum allotment for one person for that month. And for a family of 7 or more, there's that maximum allotment is going to be humongous. And how long have we been in PHE?
I guess at our department head meeting yesterday, Gina did say that February is the last month, correct? And
Correct.
now they're going to be dropped, and that's going away as far as their
They will go back
maximum
to-
allowable. So they're
Right.
going back to what was in
What they are
3 years ago.
what they are eligible for.
So I guess our only saving grace is that we have another month of this to look at, and then it's,
And food stamps is
It'll be
100%
reduced.
reimbursable, so it is 100% reimbursed by the state.
any other questions, Commissioner?
I still have lots of questions about it.
Well,
It's just, why were they not all eligible for it last month? I guess that's what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, this goes up over, it almost doubled in 1 month's time. The total amount, that's what I'm getting at. Why did it jump that much in 1 month?
If they look at the benefit comparison sheet.
Do you have, can you flip the benefit comparison on?
EBT comparison?
Yes. And if you look at that, January is always a lot higher in the months. And that's just somehow how state, I can't explain it, but that's how state does it.
I'm looking at that though, and it looks like December is by far the highest month, 2.5, and all the other months are 1.3. Looks like the highest of all the other months is August or November at 1.6. How did we get the jump from 1.6 to 2.5 in a month?
That's
It's
what
Christmas time and
my
everybody
question.
comes in and
I-
applies to get benefits. I mean, that's one thought process, I guess. I mean, you've got Thanksgiving and then Christmas, the holidays, and everybody's out of money, so if they qualify, they come in and apply. I don't know. I don't have an answer either for that.
We don't control that, so I don't even know how it runs.
I mean, usually with benefits, I mean, with especially food stamps, it's, you know, that is, if someone is eligible for food stamps, and then they get it. You know, that's not something, it's not like if somebody comes in and they're eligible for food stamps, you can't say, I'm sorry, we can't give you food stamps because that's gonna go over our, you know, our limit, so.
It kind of did that same thing last December, huh?
It happens all the time, I think.
It's almost right at double, or real close.
But see, in the year before that, in 20, it didn't do that at all.
That's because COVID was just starting.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I
Right,
mean, we were just,
I think
March of 2020 is when we started that, and
God.
it stayed pretty consistent, but now it's way higher than
right, and it will.
it's ever been.
I mean, we have, February is the last month, and then March, it goes back to what people are actually eligible for.
So
And
it
then
should return to
also-
the 2020 numbers at that point in time, basically, correct? Hopefully.
Well, it depends on how many people go back to work and are eligible, you know, aren't eligible anymore either.
Right.
I mean, you know, if some people haven't been able to get jobs, and, you know, it's going, if the amount of people that are on food stamps is going to continue to be higher, then, you know, it may not go down as much as we thought before 2020, when everybody had a job and everybody was working, and, I mean, it may take a while to get back there, I would think, I don't know.
And I think like Gina said yesterday, our concerns are with our folks down in the office down there, what's gonna happen. I mean, they're already being verbally assaulted and sometimes tried to be physically assaulted.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how people respond. The Medicaid is going to be a 14-month process because if they haven't actually said yet when Medicaid is going to stop, but say your recertification, say they go ahead and they stop Medicaid for everyone, because anybody that applied for Medicaid during the PHE, they were, whether they were eligible or not, they became eligible for Medicaid. It didn't matter. So now, with each recertification of each family, and each case is gonna have to be looked at. Each family is gonna have to go through the recertification process. And if they're not eligible, then they're gonna lose their Medicaid. But it's going to be a 14-month process. So say they stop the Medicaid in, say, April or May. We don't know that yet, if it's even gonna happen then. But say your recertification isn't until November or December, you are still eligible for Medicaid till the end of your recertification, which would be November or December. And then they would go through that process of recertification then, and then they, if they're not eligible, then their Medicaid will drop then. And if they are eligible, then they'll continue on. But it's not gonna be, everybody just stops right now like it is for food stamps. It's gonna be spread out, so that'll be a little bit easier for the technicians, because they won't be hit with every single family that's on Medicaid at one time. It will help some.
We've got over 10,000 on Medicaid.
That's a lot of people to have to go through. Yeah, it's gonna
That's
be a lot of work
Over
for those
14
girls
months, that's
downstairs
700 and something a month.
for Medicaid. Yeah, I don't don't know how much it's a month, because Medicaid just comes through.
I hope they don't dump all 10,000 on you in the same month.
Yeah. It's just, you know, it's gonna be a lot of work for them, and I'm not gonna deny it. They're gonna be busy for quite a while, but at least it won't be, I think at one point, everybody thought they were gonna have to look at every case. When the first time came, that they were gonna end Medicaid, it was like right before the holidays of, I don't even remember which year it was now. And they thought they were gonna have to go through every case during the holidays when we had less days working and all that kind of stuff. But now the state has decided, you know, that that's not fair, so they're spreading it out. So at least it'll be not quite as traumatic. But they are gonna be busy, and it's gonna be a lot of work. And there's gonna be people that get mad because, you know, here you have insurance, and now you don't have insurance, and how do you pay for it to get it? So it's gonna be tough on everybody.
That also affects the providers, the medical providers.
Right? Because the people that did have Medicaid and they got some reimbursement, those people will have to be out of pocket if they don't get some other form of insurance. So,
How does that, I mean, I may be asking way out there, but how does that affect our mental health and overdose cases? Because some of those are Medicaid too. Just case by case basis?
I have no idea. I'm sure it's gonna be, I mean, just thinking about that's gonna be a hard one.
So I guess my question is anybody reached out to get some, when you guys start reducing the snaps, some security downstairs for a period of time? Because I know you guys have had bicycles thrown at the glass, people beating on the glass, trying to get in.
Well, Gina's asked for security to be in our building for a long time, so, you know, I don't know where that's gone. Other than the fact that, I think our front desk is allowed to call dispatch, and dispatch is allowed to call, I think the plan is that we call dispatch calls the officer that's over at the annex building, and then he will come over if he's not busy taking care of something else. But she's asked for security for that floor for a long time, because sometimes, I mean, the plan was to call either you or IT, but when you know, you guys are busy or you're somewhere else, then, you know, there's no one to come down and help. So it would be, you know, just have somebody walk around 2 or 3 times a day just would be, you know, just have a presence would help a lot.
I think that's something we probably need to talk to
Well, I think that
the sheriff.
now that the elections are over, that office over there is not near as busy. I mean, I think he could move back and forth, because with this thing coming up in February, probably March is gonna start an angry month, and then March through the end of the year is probably gonna be angry. But still, we created that wall, that division down there, so that nobody can actually be harmed. Nobody can be touched, right? There's no physical abuse that can be
Yeah, I don't know how.
presented. I mean, the
I mean,
verbal
those-
abuse goes on every day, but
Right. I don't know how, I mean, I don't know how strong that glass is. I don't know how protective it is. I mean, is it plexiglass? I'm not even sure what it is. I know
it's
it's
gonna be
not
pretty-
bulletproof.
No, it's not
Because when
bulletproof.
we were asking for bulletproof, it was just way too expensive,
Mm-hmm.
so that wasn't. So, you know, I don't know how strong it is to say how, you know, how much they would be protected against someone that was really angry. I don't know.
okay. That's a discussion, another discussion. So do we have to, you have also a resolution to the change of the 2022 budget also that you need signed. So we've got two. I've got a motion and a second to approve the proceedings of the regular session Tuesday, December 27th. And I also have a second for the payables. So any further discussion on that?
No.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, if you would like to, Commissioner Copenhaver, if you'll,
Do we need a budget number, or how do you want to do this?
it's a resolution, you don't have the,
It should be a resolution for 2023, and then whatever resolution number we're on. Do you know where we're at, Travis?
I don't have a number on it.
He usually calls me up and gives it to me after the meeting, when we usually do that, and I send her another copy of it.
So what resolution are we on?
This would be for a resolution to the change of the 2022
Yeah, but
budget.
what's the,
Should be like 4. You presented 3 resolutions to us 2 weeks ago. Does this have to be done this week? Would you get the resolution number for us? Get it squared away and then bring it back to us next week?
Okay.
We'll just fit you in on the agenda at that point in time.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So you'll have to just keep this one, Melinda, because it's not signed.
Okay.
All right, Leanne, anything else? Lori?
I don't have anything else. No,
Okay.
we're good.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. LeBeau.
Good morning.
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 All right. So this is our Veteran Service Monthly Report for December. Let's see here. We had a total telephone calls, 363, which were down a little bit because of obvious weather conditions and people having telephone issues. Appointments, we had 137. We had 1 outreach for a total of 501. Breakdown for our financial report for December of 2022. Our salaries were at $5,276.61. Our fringe benefits were at $1,633.58. Our operating expenses are $125.06. Public outreach, $1,370.77. We had no dues or trainings or travel. Let's see, our telephone was at $80. And for our total expenditures for December, $8,486.02. December 2022 office activities, we had a comparison for 2021, which was at 97. Our appointments, however, were at 137, which increased our traffic flow up by 40. Our total number of clients assisted was 501. We had 6 new clients. Year to date was 105. We had no home visits. We had 1 outreach event, and we filed 22 claims in December. Our indirect income to the county for December of 2022, we had 13 decisions. 9 were favorable. We had 2 confirmed and continued and 2 deferred. which means that they were just waiting on more information to make the final decision on those claims that were submitted. New monthly totals for December, 15,309.04. Our new annual total for December is 183,708.48. Our retro payments, 17,778.33. Okay, for 2022 in review, our income, our indirect income for the county for 2022, annual benefit payments, $93,764.27. Our annual total was $1,125,171.24, and our annual retro was $924,770.65. Our office activity for 2022, we had a total of 1,986 veterans come into our office. We had a total of 4,948 telephone calls. We had 105 new clients. We did, however, do throughout the year of 2022 4 home/nursing home visit. We had 14 outreach events. Other topics that were brought up in 2022, a PAC Act was signed in August of 2022, which we had some significant traffic flow into the office in reference to the PAC Act. Our local Veterans Rooming Group was put together, which is a group for strictly women veterans that are looking for additional help that they don't usually get through veteran services. Suicide Prevention Group was also put into effect, which is, there's a group of us to include DAV, our health services. We all get together and we talk about difficult cases and get everybody's input to see what everybody else is thinking on how we can help that veteran and what resources that we can direct them so they can have a better outcome in life. And our VA increases veteran disability. We had an increase in our COLA for VA disability, which went up 8.7%, which is a lot higher than last year. Last year was only like, I believe it was 5.9. So that is a significant increase for the veterans, which in turn means more income for the county.
So did they use the inflationary cost at that point in time? Is that
Correct.
how they came up with the 8%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that is correct. And then another thing that just came up in my office is that I am going to Grand Junction on Friday to get my VA certification card. So what I'm currently certified, but what I was waiting for is a background check, which finally went through. So now I have to go to Grand Junction and get my card, which allows me access to the VA site.
Good for
which,
you.
instead of one person limited on helping somebody with questions about their claims, I can also do that now come next week.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a long process. It was a lot of emails and telephone calls on why do I have to send these documents again, which I've already done it 3 times already. And they're like, well, we don't have it. And
Welcome to the VA, huh?
oh, yeah. So I pretty much told them I'm not doing it again. There's personal information, family information that are on that those documents that, you know, doesn't need to be out there for the public to read. So they're like, all right, we'll track it down and we'll get back with you. So apparently they did what they were supposed to do, I did what I was supposed to do, and we're all good now, and looking forward to the next step after that.
All right,
Very good.
Thank you, that's all I have.
All right.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up, we have our unfinished business, and we have our highway users tax fund. Mr. Raw.
So this is just our mileage certification we're required to do every year. This is certified mileage maintained both in the county road system and Schedule A roads that we have an agreement with for reporting year 2022. This is always due in mid-February, and so just going over the changes this year, the only substantive change that would affect the the funding formula at all is that Rob brought to my attention there's a section of road U.6 that's it's up in the Wing Spread subdivision. It's kind of a little knoll that kind of overlooks the lake, and I don't know exactly when that subdivision was put in. I want to say back in the 70s or something. Anyway, looking into it, there was actually a 0.2 of a mile section that there was actually some sort of agreement where the county would go up there and they would snow plow that, and there was some sort of agreement that was done back in the 80s or 90s that has lapsed. The road maps never got updated. When you look at the subdivision plat, that is not a dedicated section of roads. That was just a remnant, an error. The county has not been maintaining or snow plowing that 0.2 of a mile section for quite a while now. So that's a correction. Obviously a very small change, but all the changes are important. And then even though some of the activities don't really affect the formula, I always put it into the same format that I've always done, as far as taking the opportunity to update whatever work that has been done to the county road system over that prior calendar year. And really the primary changes as far as reconstruction was that 4.25 mile of roads Y and 16 that were ground up in 21, and then they got a full chip surface in 2022. Again, that was a paved surface before. It was just completely reconstructed. So it's really not a HUTF change for that. And then the other changes, we really only report into that database the major reconstructions, surface type changes, so forth. But I do just put in our database and on our maps the maintenance treatments that happened. So there were 35 miles that got a maintenance chip overlay, and that is shown on that map. And so that is the rolling record we have. And if you look at the mileage, everything just is reduced by that 0.2 of a mile that we talked about. And that's
Too bad they don't use lane miles instead of just actual road miles.
yeah. It's the width. There's some reporting differences between municipalities and so forth. Mileage really does matter for us.
Yes, it
road
does.
width does matter for us. The municipalities, the bulk of the formula is the number of vehicle registrations they have. That's how, which sort of makes sense if you think about it. They have a lot of cars and less miles, and so forth, as far as impact. So, but for us, it's all about mileage and width and surface type.
Do we have this on our website also, Doug?
The report?
Right, because, I mean, we talked about it yesterday in our workshop, the miles of road that we have to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a heavy snow event like this, there's a cost associated with just under 800 miles of road to take care of. And if we don't get the snow removed, I mean, in a timely manner, that's when obviously our phones have been blowing up the last week because it wasn't in a timely manner into some people's opinion. However, you know, I think we would all disagree that it was in a very timely manner due to the snow event that we had. But I don't think most people understand that we're taking care of almost 800 miles of roadway.
Yeah, and it, you know, just to lay it out, because there's different scenarios here, because some of these are Schedule A roads
Right.
and only get blade treatment once a year in the whip,
once a
and they
year.
don't get a snowplow treatment, although obviously we do plow some mileage into the Forest Service, so it depends on what figure you're having. We also have the figure that talks about county-maintained roads, of which most get plowed, but not all do. We do have, maybe these are some of the maps that we should put on the website. We do have the snow plow maps that that we produce for the road department. We update them as needed, and that shows pretty much which roads get plowed.
Get the service for that, right?
Yeah.
No, and I understand that not all of the Schedule A type stuff, no, we understand that we don't plow that. But we do take care of it at least once a year. But I guess the biggest part of it is there's almost 800 miles of roads that we are responsible for throughout the year, whether it's January or August.
Yep.
We're still having to take care of these roadways.
They're huge
So,
numbers.
You know, it seems like educating the public is probably one of the most difficult things that we try to do, and I don't think people even know.
I think
They
on
think there's a few roads and that's all we do, and it's really not the case.
yeah, it's massive numbers. I think on the road department website, they do have some stats as far as the number of miles.
Okay.
I can check that.
Would you
Because
check
that would
it?
probably be the appropriate place to have at
Yeah.
least some stats as far as how the county road system works. Yeah, we'll check that.
Okay.
So really, we just need your three signatures up here, and I will turn that in, and we'll wrap that up for our reporting, and we'll start getting our quarterly payments.
HETF funds.
Right. I would so move we sign the Highway Users Tax Fund road mileage submittal for reporting year 2022.
Second. We need it. No.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the Colorado Department of Transportation's HETF funds for 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Being there's so many lines, you're gonna sign 3 times?
Yeah, I'm on 3 times. I think the other thing to notice the way the state distributes funds, the HETF is still 60% for CDOT, right, for the state. We get 22%, municipalities get 18%. Is that still the formula breakdown?
I don't know.
Pretty sure it is, but check me on that too.
I think it gets fairly, I've never looked at the upper tiers of that. I think it's fairly complicated when you're talking about, you know, the gas tax versus the different things that go into the formula.
I'm pretty sure that was the formula that they used. All right, anything else?
That's it.
Wow, okay.
To give that to him and get him to get you a copy.
Going this fast, we're gonna have to decide we're gonna eat supper from last night.
I know. Okay. Ian, I'm gonna go right straight to your report there.
Last week, we had a pretrial conference in our civil case involving Ellis Lewis. That's the land use case out near Summit Lake. That case was continued for a status conference. The trial that was set for February was vacated, and a status conference will happen April 24th. The reason that that case was continued is that Mr. Lewis is going through the process to apply to CDOT for an access permit. And so we tabled it to see whether he's able to obtain that access permit, because certainly that would perhaps affect his claim against the county and whether he wants to move forward with that. So that's the biggest thing that I have to report. That was it for last week.
Keeping us out of hot water every now and then, you know, you should report on that too.
There's a lot of day-to-day stuff, but as far as the civil cases, that was last week.
Okay. Well, very good. Mr. Dietrich, I see you just walked in the room. Natural Resources and Public Lands. Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Okay, the first thing I wanted to just let the commissioners know, we're continuing to work through the collaborative groups that we've got for the Dolores watershed and Forest Restoration Group, and also the CFLRP. And you know, both of those are really kind of related to you know, doing forest improvements and reducing wildfire risk within the WUI. So the CFLRP, that is the most recent one that we've really, and that is you know, congressionally designated funding source and everything. So we've worked through kind of the desired conditions and everything on that. And I think some of the focus on the initial project work will be on the NEPA ready projects that the Forest Service has already got stacked up. And so, and again, that'll be across the whole national forest, all the way from you know, the west side all the way over to Archuleta County. And so some of these projects are likely to happen in Montezuma County, and we'll work with that collaborative group. I'm on the Projects Places Committee, and so what we'll be doing is trying to identify places in Montezuma County where we can have an active and competitive project. So we'll continue working on that. That is going to go on. The CFLRP is scheduled for 10 years, so this will be an ongoing project. We'll just have to stay engaged with that for the next 10 years. Through some of this work too, we've got a couple of new grant opportunities that are coming up. The first one is the Community Wildfire Defense Grants, and this is really kind of focused on, and this is state dollars, and it's mostly focused on doing defensible space on private lands. And so, and that would be, right now we'll be working probably through the Mancos Water Conservancy District on that. They seem to be interested in taking the lead on some of these projects. So they would likely be a grant recipient for that, although the county, we may want to engage with that at some point too. We'll just have to evaluate that as it comes up. But that one is the one that we needed to have the CWPP for. Since we've got that signed and in place, we're now eligible for that grant. So we'll continue to look into that and see where we might find good fits within Montezuma County for that. The other one that came up is the RCCP grant, and I can't tell you what the acronym for that one is. It is administered though through NRCS. And that's another one that the Mancos Water Conservancy District may consider taking that on. And again, that's really focused on doing work on private lands, but it's got the federal dollars behind that one. So as you know, more information comes available on that, we'll make some decisions on whether or not we have projects in the county that seem to be a fit and things that we want to pursue. Also been working on the IHOP, the Affordable Housing Grant. So our consultants have been down for the first meeting. We met with county staff, Mancos staff, Town of Dolores staff, and the City of Cortez staff. And so some of the initial findings that they've got is really kind of that we really need to have more communication between the communities when we're working in, especially within that 1 mile and 3 mile area of influence. We need to really kind of start providing a little more clarity on that, I think, you know, between the county and the municipalities. We'd really like to engage with more robust planning efforts on that. And I think that, you know, the county staff is certainly willing to do that. And it sounds like all the county staffs are willing to do that too. So this is just kind of one of those things we have to kind of get the ball rolling on and start getting some more meetings in place. One of the things that might help within the 1 mile area and the 3 mile area, so the whole notion of annexation has come up and how we approach that, or the cities approach that. So one approach might be to get some IGAs in place between the respective parties and try to get all that kind of laid out before development really starts hitting in those areas. So that is something that, again, county staff is willing to participate and network and work with, all of our municipalities on trying to get anything into place that we can ahead of time. The other thing would be strategies to take advantage of existing pad-ready sites. Now, out in the county, we don't have a lot of those, and of course, our effort is really kind of focused on the county. But there are a lot of those that are within, especially within the city of Cortez, lots of platted lot that are ready to be developed, essentially, but have had no forward momentum on that. So that's a place where I think we just coordinate with the city and try to, see what we can do to help out with that situation. Of course, we have no authority over that. But again, we can participate, and anytime any of those are at the edge of municipal boundaries, well, then that really becomes important for us to participate in, because we really got to consider what the roads are like out past that 1 mile area and out to that 3 mile area. And I guess the other thing is just looking at strategies to increase rental opportunities and the overall affordability, just due to the outside pressures. And it's unclear at this point what strategies we have to really affect either of those. Those are just kind of key takeaways. For our consultants, their recommended next steps would be to conduct an in-person process mapping workshop. And that would focus on outlining the current processes that relate to the housing development or activity in and around that 1 and 3 mile area. So, and that's something that we're all ready to start talking about. And then to, facilitate discussions on any IGAs that we can get in place to, take a look at, kind of pre-annexation sort of an angle. And then just really kind of identify and prioritize any additional land for housing development opportunities, and that's really working with the communities. I don't think the county, we don't have any surplus land. Maybe some of the municipalities have some land that they already own, and we could help participate in trying to move some of that land into development category. And then moving on to the OREC grant, so we have made the consultant selection, and we selected RPI and brought that to the commissioners a couple weeks ago. We've had one preliminary kickoff meeting on that. We're gathering up preliminary data to try to funnel that to our consultant. One of the things that we may want to consider doing is maybe talking with the road department about getting some road counts set up, in particular like at some of the places like that Summit access that we've recently created, to kind of get an idea of how much traffic is coming in and out of that, and possibly even Phil's World. And first of all, I think we do want to investigate maybe some of that data already exists. So that's the first step. But maybe also beyond that, really prioritize a few places where we could get some key data points on the actual volumes that are being used in some of these recreation areas. We're still waiting on OEDIT to give us the go-ahead on this. I haven't got an IGA or a notice to proceed, and they'd let us know that we're going to be about a month behind on that. So we're approaching the 2-month mark now. So hopefully that'll happen here pretty soon. I've also been participating in the sage grouse and big game management RMPs. Both of these processes are going concurrently and have some similarities. The sage grouse has several ACEC nominations that are being considered. Fortunately, all those are in the northern part of the country, and none of those are currently impacting Montezuma County. We do have unoccupied sage grouse habitat in the county that's been identified by Fish and Wildlife Service. One of the things that one of the discussions has been surrounding putting a 5-mile buffer around all occupied and unoccupied habitat and making that kind of be the area of decision. So what that really does is it really expands that area considerably.
A 5-mile buffer?
A 5-mile buffer, yeah.
That's
a big buffer.
Big.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
my opinion is, part of this is to move this out to where you can control as much area as you can possibly control. And so there's been discussion on whether the 5-mile buffer is appropriate or maybe a 1-mile buffer is appropriate. We haven't landed on an exact distance on that yet. But one of the reasons I kind of believe that this is about control is that, one of the discussion points is about what happens on adjacent lands. So one of the angles that the BLM is considering is putting a density cap on development. And this applies to the big game also, by the way. So, the angle would be to put the number that's been kicked around is a 3% density cap. We don't really know what the density exactly is. I mean, what does that mean even? So in the case of sage grouse, they had a wildfire, and that counts as part of your density cap. So it disturbed that much ground. Okay, it disturbed more than 3%. Additional development then is prohibited. And that could be prohibited even on split estate lands. So the concern really is how this spills over to the private land. And the BLM keeps saying, well, we're discussing on whether or not, all of our rules and stipulations should apply to private land. Currently, it's just lands as they're in production. But they've said that, yeah, we want to consider, whether or not our regulation should spill over to private lands if there's a split estate or any other federal nexus, even if there isn't production. So it feels like that they're out there trying to, kind of cast that net as wide as they can possibly get it. And I don't think this is a surprise for anybody. It sort of seems like kind of status quo the way things are going. So anyway, we'll continue to work with them. Right now we've got a pre-scoping report that came out for the big game, and if the commissioners would like to read that, I'll forward that report to you all. But it is, it's the typical federal report. You're going to get about 10 pages of actual information, and the other 120 pages is going to be a lot of standard federal boilerplate. So, but I can forward that to everybody.
Can you just send us the 10 pages?
Yeah. That's it. If I can do that, I will try to distill that out.
It's the stuff that's hidden on page 100 is what you need to look at.
I know.
Oh, yeah. So, some of the other discussions really kind of come around whether or not the BLM will be able to avoid a one-size-fits-all management strategy, that would be appropriate for the scope of the RMP. A lot of us really kind of feel like a lot of that has really kind of been laid out within the individual localized RMPs. And so, should they adopt a strategy? Well, is that going to be kind of something that's really pushed by COGCC and we adopt a statewide set of rules? Because really the decision area is statewide. They've picked the Colorado state boundaries for the decision area. And so, a lot of folks kind of are pushing the BLM to adopt the kind of habitat-centric approach that COGCC has adopted. And so, and again, this has all been kind of prompted by COGCC rules. So I think it's likely that we're moving in that direction. So anyway, plenty to learn more about both the big game as well as the sage grouse. I think in a lot of ways the big game one is going to have more of an impact for us in Montezuma County really than the sage grouse. We do have a lot of critical winter habitat in Montezuma County, and certainly BLM is trying to push their regulatory authority out there to anything that's been identified as critical habitat. So we'll just have to be a little bit cautious about, how far these rules go. And again, here's another thing. So I did ask them, with regards to renewable energy projects. And this just out of curiosity. We haven't got a project on the table, but we've heard about these projects. So the kind of the response on that was the minute I got off of that phone call, I got an email from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service telling me there's about 10 other endangered species within the Montezuma County that we need to be aware of, if we're going to pursue alternative energy projects. Boy, they're all over it. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in particular is really, I think, some of the driving force behind all this. So. Anyway, yes, it's. I wish I could be a little more encouraged about this process, but it feels a lot like what we've experienced before. So it's just going to be a matter of trying to limit how far the reach goes. Past the Mesa Verde Trail, we're proceeding on that still, and so we should be able to get our consultant for segment B to start working on segment A here within, hopefully within a couple months. I still haven't got the IGA for segment A either, so I'm pressing the CDOT on that to figure out where they're at in that process. So everything else is, I think, pretty good to go. Been working with Robert Dobry to come up with some strategies on how to apply for more grant funding for getting that trail completed also. And I guess that's about the end of my report, unless the commissioners have anything that they would like to discuss.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Gerald?
I mean, I'm curious on this IHOP grant. I'll wait to see where it goes with the annexation issues, because if we have that many platted lots that already exist, you know, where we, I'm curious. I'll wait for the conversations that come out of that.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like the municipalities are really the name of the game on that one. You know, they've got some room to infill, particularly Cortez. I know Mancos and Dolores have a little more problem with that. But Cortez has quite a lot of lots that are platted and could be developed.
Sure.
And I think that, you know, they're working through their land use code. I think that's key to it, to kind of revise some things and make this a little easier to accommodate. And I think that they are planning to work on that from rumors that I've heard. But again, I think staying engaged with that and really having some influence on that would be really beneficial for the county. Obviously, these 1 mile areas are something that and I may be wrong about this, but it sounded like statutorily they were supposed to come up with kind of a long-range plan, all the municipalities for that area. Currently, it doesn't look like any of our municipalities have actually accomplished that. And, you know, some of the complication is that they don't know where the boundaries are, you know, in some respects. And I think we kind of work the same way. So, you know, it's a little bit of a no man's land for that 1 mile and 3 mile area. But it does sort of feel like that, you know, getting together on that with the respective planning departments and really kind of working through it together is really something we need to do. And we may not accomplish it right off the bat. You know, obviously these are things you have to adapt, you know, as new information comes up. But I think that we can improve in that area. And certainly everybody has a willingness to do that.
Okay, I'll wait. And I do know that the city is working on their land use to look more at the ADUs and the stuff that they have so that they can get their infill taken care of prior to looking at anything else. And if they have, right. I don't know, I heard a number, it was a big number, though, like 600 lots that are, yeah. And don't quote me on that, but it was a large number of lots, yet yeah. Still platted within the city limits. So yeah. That's quite a bit of infill.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah.
So, okay.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Thanks. Mr. Travis.
Just a few things. The RFP for the strategic planning has been submitted, and I've received some phone calls. In fact, I got some meetings this week to follow up with potential vendors on that. Was able to attend a meeting with Lauren Bobert. That was pretty interesting for my first one. And let's see, broadband. I think we're making some headway with broadband. Had a few meetings this week. Some positive things coming out with that. Reviewed an operational agreement that Spratlin has sent, and I think I submitted it to the county attorney. Just an MOU for major situations is how I'm reading it. And then spoke with some leadership companies. We budgeted for some leadership training, and I think we've got one picked, and I'll be submitting that to all the department heads and offices within the county. And then the last thing might be a sticker shock.
Yeah, you don't want to look at this one.
Yeah, I know.
So this is our December payables. General fund total was $951,748.78. Road and bridge, $808,808.62. Public health, $179,372.93. Capital fund total, $23,294 $1,054.62. Landfill fund, $82,053.08. Check register total, $2,045,278.03. Social services total, $2,966,594.73, with a grand total of $5,011,872.76.
Okay,
Don't look at me, I don't have it.
questions? Questions that you haven't already asked, Commissioner?
Yeah. I move to approve the expenditures for Montezuma County for December 2022 in the amount of $5,011,872.76.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to pay our payables for the month of December 2022 in the amount of $5 million. Wow, I can't even say that kind of a number. $5 million. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. To my right, Commissioner Lindsay.
A few meetings this week, phone calls, a lot of snow phone calls. Went with Travis to Lauren Bobert's presentation. Also, we met yesterday with the municipalities. We had a department head meeting and we had a workshop meeting yesterday. So we were a little bit busy yesterday. Other than that, I don't have any. I have city council tonight, and that's basically it.
Okay, Commissioner.
This last week, I attended the Southwest Water Conservation Board meeting Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday. We gave out some different grants to help different organizations around. Some of it was ditch companies to repair certain areas where they had had a breach in their ditch or instability that was possibly going to cause problems. It's part of all our taxes go to support that organization in the 9 counties here in the western part of Colorado in the southwest corner. We gave back out part of that money in grants and stuff to support different local organizations and ditch companies and that sort of thing. Also had quite a bit of discussion about Colorado River issues and where we think that's going and what we need to be working on. Then on Saturday, we had our Montezuma Valley Irrigation Company meeting and had a very kind of surprising that we had as much attendance as we did. We did have to raise the assessments out there again due to increased costs that we were not expecting. But it was actually a good meeting, had about 150 participants show up, shareholders show up with probably, I think there was a little over half of the shares in the company were actually represented there at the meeting. So we had a good quorum and had a good meeting and had a lot of reports. We did have some issues with our printer broke down and we couldn't print the ballots, so it took quite a bit longer for the whole meeting to happen, but we got through it and everything worked out, so that was good. And I didn't have so many calls about snow, I just had to get my own snow out of the road.
That's because when you turned off your phone, they all went to mine.
Yeah, okay.
Plow to the right, plow to the right.
Plow to the right, everybody. Don't plow across the road.
Plow
If
to
your
the right.
mailbox gets hit by snow, it's not really up to us. But yeah, we've all taken a lot of calls this week on snow.
Yeah.
And so have all the municipalities, which we talked about quite a bit yesterday at our quarterly breakfast. Anyway, I had a NACO DOT check-in last week. Not a lot to report. That'll all be getting going next month when we actually are back in Washington. Ended up Friday on a CCI legislative briefing, which took all afternoon. And then we ended up with the CCI Land Use Working Group meeting. And a lot of this is as they start changing their land use codes, and I'm not sure it's going to affect us here, but like specifically the city of Cortez, the infrastructure that goes along with it, you know, what do we have enough of the infrastructure that's going to take to accommodate all of the ADUs and reducing the lot sizes, so on and so forth. So pretty interesting discussion. Like I said, I'm not sure it's going to really affect us here in our county at this point in time. Like Commissioner Lindsay said, we had our quarterly breakfast with the municipalities yesterday. We had a workshop, which was a conversation about, here again, plowing snow on properties that really do not belong to the county. So further conversations are going to go on with that as far as the bike clubs, the ski clubs, the snowmobile clubs, so on and so forth. And then more robust than that was really our department head meeting and just trying to look forward and forecast some of the issues that we're going to be presented with this year as we get through this legislative process. It'll be interesting. I'll be flying to Denver tomorrow to attend our first two-day session up there at the state capitol. So more to come on that. Already I looked this morning, 161 bills already presented. And we're what, 2.5 weeks into the legislative process, and we have 120 days to go from the start to the end. So I think we'll see at least 600 bills again hit the hopper, and kind of interesting to see what's going to happen from there on out. And I think that is all that I have to report also. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn this BOCC meeting for January 23rd, 2023. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.